Jagee's cookbook is back, and I'm sure you're all waiting for what I'm going to do this time. This time, it's a very, very special and a very, very traditional type of dish or a pie. It's the apple pie. Welcome to the apple pie episode. And well, there are seldom people who can say no to an apple pie because it is wonderful. Now, as we all know, or probably we know, we've heard of it as the American apple pie. But believe it or not, it was not from America it started from Europe. But in America, John Appleseed brought the seed apple and he grew it there. So apples were the first fruits grown in America. That's why probably they call it the American apple pie. Now, an American apple pie is usually obviously made of apples. It's baked in a crust, a pastry crust, and it's a very, 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 very popular dessert in America and in Europe because there are seldom people who hasn't tasted an apple pie. So today I'm going to show you the easy method of making an apple pie, which is very simple, and you don't have to be intimidated by pie making, because I was like that first. Whenever I thought about a pie, I thought, oh my God, it was something really, really different. But it's not as difficult as it looks. If you put everything into perspective, everything is easy. So that's what I'm going to show you today, how to make the apple pie. First of all, I'm going to make a pastry. For that, I'll need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. With that, I need a 1/4 cup of custard powder and a 1/4 cup of corn flour, and that's all in this bowl. Okay, I made it easier. Now, all we have to do is we have to mix in. Now, I have told you rub the butter. We need 125 grams of butter, okay, chilled butter, and we have to rub these ingredients into the butter so that they remind you of breadcrumbs. It's just like I told you before. I think when I showed you the scones. So you have to rub the 125 grams of butter, unsalted butter, into the flour. Okay. Now all we do is just rub these. I love doing this. I love mixing, or I love the texture, the difference, the powdery texture of the flours and the soft butter. Be very light. Now you have to remember, whenever you make pastry, you have to remember to be very light with your hands. Do not be very rough with your dough, because it won't work. The pastry has to be flaky. Okay. Now into the lovely breadcrumb sort of mixture, that is the flour and the butter rubbed in, I add 1 beaten egg. Okay. Now, if you are a vegetarian, a strict vegetarian, avoid the egg. You can use milk instead. Okay. There you go. And this, make it into a dough. Be very quick. It's very easy. Just everything into a good dough. Don't knead it too much like a chapati dough, because we don't want the gluten to work in it. And all we do is we keep it in the refrigerator to chill it for around 30 minutes so that it will relax the gluten. Then we can make the pastry base. Now for the glorious apple filling, what we need is obviously apples. And I have got around 1 kilo, around 4 to 5 medium-sized apples. I have chopped them up to make things easier. Now you all know how to chop apples. And I have actually marinated them in a bit of orange juice, a little bit, a tablespoon or two, because I didn't want it to be brown, because apple has a tendency to become brown. There it goes. Okay, I'm going to light it up, and with this, okay, so this is around 4 to 5 medium apples. Okay, in this I'm going to add around 1/3 cup of flour, 1/3 cup, 2/3 cups or 1 cup of sugar. Okay, just white sugar. And I'm going to just give it a stir and let this all cook into a glorious apple pulp. This is the basis, or rather this is the apple pie, the filling of the apple pie. Okay, there we go. Now we add 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon, okay, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Now to this I'm going to add a little bit of water, and we let it cook. We let it cook well. Okay, I'm ready for my pastry making. Now I've already made this pastry, okay, and I've covered it up with a cling film, and it's been really chilled. Okay, what I have to do is I have to make the base of the pastry, okay, the pie. Now I've taken this out from the refrigerator, and my apple pie filling is cooling there. Now what I have to do is I have to make my pastry, my base, the pie base. I have kept the pastry in between 2 butter papers, okay, with a little bit of flour. That's for easier removal of the pastry. Now first what I have to do is actually I need to take a little bit of this, just a bit, probably a quarter of the dough, and keep it aside. That's for the top. This is for the base. Okay. Now what I do is carefully make it into a circle sort of thing. Okay. Now what I do is keep the butter paper on top, and carefully roll this carefully. Now what we do is we take the sheet out, and slowly and carefully you need a pie tin or a pie pan. Now here I've got a silicone pan, so I don't need to grease it. Otherwise, well, you don't have to grease it much because this is full of butter. And carefully, very carefully, just roll it into the pie dish. Okay, very carefully. This can break. Okay. Now all we need is to trim the sides, Now if there isn't much dough in the sides, you can just put it on with this. Okay. We are going to put our apple pie filling into the baked crust that has been baked around 10 minutes. So in it goes the cooked apple pie filling. Okay. Now remember the quarter of the pastry I had kept for the topping. I'm going to keep it out here and do the topping. Now it's a clean place out here, so you don't have to worry. I'm just going to put a little bit of flour to help it aid along, so it won't stick to the granite. Then what we do is, with a rolling pin, before we actually put the pastry on, we have to put a tablespoon of butter, unsalted butter, okay, on top of it. That's it. Just a tablespoon will do. Now, with the knife, we have to make strips. Actually, I'm going to make a lattice pattern, okay? That is, just strips. Go straight in strips. Now what we do is take one of the strips and carefully put it on top of the pie, and take it alternatively so that we have the other way around too. Next, the alternate one. Now this is all prepared. The pie is prepared. Now what we have to do is bake it in an oven, okay, 180 degrees first for 10 minutes, and then increase it to 220 for around 20 minutes, and then your apple pie will be done. After that, we'll see how our apple pie turned out. There, my apple pie is done, golden brown, wonderful, and waiting to be eaten. I want you to try this out and see how gorgeous this is. So for you, my apple pie.